Hello, it's good to see you. I'm Addie from Whimsy of Things, and I am going to talk about Fountain Pen Day 2024 and the aftermath. So, Fountain Pen Day 2024 is the first Friday of the month, and this year it was on November 1st. You know how they say they have like Hallmark holidays, the holidays that were created for the Hallmark company to sell cards? It's kind of a imaginary holiday, and that isn't to say that it's not important or it doesn't count. It does, but it is an additional holiday, and it is a holiday that shopping and spending money and buying pens is pretty heavily promoted. So being that it's that kind of holiday, it's important to go into it with a clear mindset and not get caught up in some of the fear of missing out tactics that happen for sales like this. So there are limited edition pens and ink and other items that are only available on Fountain Pen Day. There are sales, there are codes, there are limited quantities and doorbusters and all those things. So as a consumer, it's important to go into them, I think, with a budget and with a plan and with a level head that is fine with letting something go if it's not available. You might not be interested in any of this money talk, and I totally understand that. Sometimes it's nice just to watch videos and see pretty stuff and not hear anything about money. And if that's the case, just skip to the section where I test the pens. I don't talk about pricing much in that section, just to see what they look like. You don't have to spend money for Fountain Pen Day. You can get out your pens and do whatever you want, or you can do nothing. It's very easy to get caught up in stuff and end up spending way more money than you intended to. So before going into Fountain Pen Day, I had set a budget for myself that I was going to stick within. And I also had a list of pens that I was looking for. There was a pen that I was interested in that sold out before I could buy it, and that was okay. Everything that I shopped for on that day got put into a cart. I did some comparison shopping. I let it sit for a while, and then I went back and purchased it. So I'm not perfect. I did go over budget a little bit by about $30, and there was a pen that I bought that was not on my wish list. It was $9. So I'll cut myself a little bit of slack over that. I'm going to go ahead and get started with what I bought on Fountain Pen Day 2024. This is how I went into Fountain Pen Day. This was my plan. I started with a budget of $500. This is a budget that is specifically for Fountain Pen Day or Black Friday shopping or Christmas shopping for myself in general. That is a budget to cover all of that. So that's what I'm going into Fountain Pen Day with. That's rule number one, to stay within that budget. Then rule number two that I have for myself is that the pens that I purchase need to be on one of these two wish lists that I have been keeping. I have a wish list for all the flex pens I'm looking for, and then I have a wish list for all of the non-flex pens that I'm interested in. And I see videos, I see reviews, I throw pens on these lists. I've rewritten them a few times, so the ones that have marks are ones that I've purchased. And sometimes I take stuff off the list if I'm not interested anymore. I used to have a few other Nahvalur pens on here, but after my first Nahvalur pen, I took those off. There's some that I tried that I don't like. So that's rule number two. Pen has to be on one of the wish lists. So stay in budget and make sure that I get a pen that's on the wish list. There are some pens on both of these lists that I really will only get on the secondhand market or that aren't available in a store. The vintage pens, for one, obviously. The X-Wing Stylo Suite nib, that is not an actual store. This Omos is not made anymore, so that's not something I can buy new. This art pen is not something that can be purchased new. Same with this Mont Blanc calligraphy nib. It's very unlikely that these pilot pens will be on sale. Same with the SD. I think there may be some SDs, but I don't know that any of the unusual nibs will be available. Scribo even with a budget of $500, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to find that pen new for under that. They rarely go for used under that. The pens that I guess on this list that I would be looking for, I don't think these two are smaller places that I don't think will actually have a sale. I guess this Magna Carta Mag 600. The scribble field is going to be too expensive. I mean, that's pretty much it. This Osprey, that's another smaller place. And then on the non-flex wish list, a lot of these are smaller places. Walltown, Bone Crusher, Hello Tello. The Mahjong is not smaller, but that's not likely going to be on sale. So those are sort of out. This Opus 88 Medusa is the one I was looking at, but that's not made anymore, so that would have to be used. Another Opus 88 might be interesting. LAMY 2000 would be interesting, but the LAMY 2000, the Leonardo Memento Zero Grande, and the Pelican and the Pilots all come up on the secondhand market very frequently, and they're usually pretty decently priced because they're sort of common. Though if I found a good price on a LAMY 2000, I could maybe think about that. A Pilot Vanishing Point I want, but I want it in a strange color, so that's not likely to happen. This is a vintage pen. The same thing I said earlier, I doubt that any of the SDs with weird nibs will be on sale. The Narwhal could be available. The Franklin Christoph, this is a specific model I'm interested, though I am interested in other Franklin Christophs. This Visconti, I don't even know if I'm interested in this anymore. The Benu could be out there. The Leonardo could potentially be out there. I doubt a Pelican would be, or a Pilot, any of these Pilots, LAMY Decimo. So that's kind of what I'm going in with, looking for Fountain Pen Day. So we'll see what we end up with. So I ended up with 2 boxes for my Fountain Pen Day. Ended up ordering from 2 different places. This is the first box that came in. I ordered it on Friday and today is Tuesday. So pretty fast. This is from Pen Chalet. And I have taken off the tape, but I haven't opened it yet. Let's see what's in here. Got a nice sticker. The right tools for the analog writer. I like that. Let's put this over here. Pen Chalet. Got a Pen Chalet Fountain Pen Day sticker. Cute. Put that over here too. All right, so we have a coupon. They have a very active social media presence and they do a lot of specials. So they have a buy one, get one free day on the 1st and 15 on the 15th prizes. So it's worth checking their Facebook group. They have a lot of that kind of thing. All right. If I'm shaky at all, the election is today. Okay, so we have this box and we have this box and we have this box, which is upside down. It's very black. So I got 3 things from Pen Chalet. And we'll start with the small thing first. This is a Dominant Industry ink muddler. It's a glass pen that has a ball on the end. That's wrapped in washi tape. I thought it was broken at first, but it's got a little protective rubber piece on it. So it's got this little, I thought this was a ball, but I'm actually glad it's not. It's got this little, for ink swatching, glass bit on the end, and it is tiny. I did not realize it was this small. Can I get this off without breaking it? I mean, it's little bitty. This is not comfortable to write with. I had no idea this was the size. I'm not going to be writing a novel with this or anything, but it is. I mean, this is tiny. This is smaller than a sport, right? Yeah, even uncapped. I mean, it's small, very small, which is okay. But I do like that this is more flat instead of, I thought it was a ball. Very, very teeny tiny though. I'll have to play with that a little bit. I'm not convinced. So then there's two pens. This is it's a Narwhal Horizon in the Glacier colorway with a broad nib. So this was on my wish list. I wanted this particular colorway in this pen. I have been watching the secondhand market for it, and I've seen it come up a few times, this and some of the other Horizon pens. And all the times that I've seen it on the secondhand market, it was more expensive than what I got this for new with the Fountain Pen Day sale and then the additional code. I decided to buy it. So as far as the nib goes, I have a few compatible nib assemblies coming, so I may be changing that out. We'll see. Okay, so it's a Horizon. Let's open it up. And we have the user guide card with the warranty information. It's got a 1-year warranty. And this is the Glacier colorway. So it has a sparkle. It has blue and white. The Horizon series has this scallop here that I've always really liked. It's got a good weight to it. I'm not going to do a full review of these pens. It's like 2, 3 almost turns. Like I said, this is a broad. This is a piston. It's got an ink window. It's very pretty though, the shine. So that's purchase number 1. This was also on my wish list. This was not totally unplanned. This pen is one that I was on my wish list sort of as a further down the road purchase. Let's take a look at what's in here, because the box itself it's very odd. It's like they took a box and wrapped it in black paper. I'm not sure. All right. So this is a Magna Carta Mag 600 in the All Hallows Eve special colorway with Waringall inks. How does this, oh, what is happening here? Okay, I think it does this. The box is so bizarre. Like, this box, it feels like, I don't know, handmade. It's weird. This is a weird box. It's not bad weird. It's just like I've never gotten any, I mean, you see what I'm talking about? It's strange. All right. Anyway, that's enough about the box. All right, so this is a sleeve. This is a box, a sleeve, and then a box. All right. So this is the set. It comes with the 5-year warranty card here. It came with 2 bottles of ink, Heimdall and Frankenstein. I've used Frankenstein before. I have not used this. I think it's supposed to match the colors in the pen. I know some people don't like talking about prices. I'm going to always talk about prices, and they're not going to be necessarily evergreen because prices do change. But I know that it is important to budget for your hobbies and to have an idea of what you're spending. I want to show pricing and be transparent because I'm honestly not trying to influence purchases. And I especially don't want to influence people to spend beyond their means. But, you know, the fact of the matter is I do show products in these videos, but I would really rather show products in a more informational way as opposed to an influencer way. So my goal is to inform. I would rather you were thinking about a pen, looking for some reviews, doing research, and come across a video. So this Mag 600 I purchased on Fountain Pen Day for $299.25. So $299.25 for this entire package deal. But there was an additional 10% coupon on that. So it ended up being about $270. Now, the Mag 600 retails between $350 and $420. Depending on the colorway, and of course the colorway that I was looking at is $420. This set being offered at $299 is already a discount from those prices, and it includes ink. And Wearing Gall ink is $22 a bottle, so this is $44 in ink that came with the pen. And there was an additional Fountain Pen Day discount that reduced it even more. I don't really see these Magna Carta pens come up very often on the secondhand market, so I'm not sure what I would expect to pay used. This colorway is also a limited edition apparently, but I can 100% say that that didn't influence my decision to buy the pen. The Narwhal, just to go back to this for a second, this Narwhal retails for $168 right now. I got it for $99.99, but then there was an additional 10% discount. So that brings it down to about $90. And like I said, I don't think I've seen it on the secondhand market for much less than $110, unless it was in pretty bad condition, and I don't know if I'd want to purchase it then. So that is to say, I think that the deals that I got from Pen Chalet were quite good based on my research. So back to this pen. Wearing Gall, Heimdall, and Frankenstein. Now, I don't like buying resin pens new because you don't see what the resin looks like. So this is a crapshoot here. But while this is not my most preferred colorway in the universe, and if this pen, let me get this out of the plastic first. If this pen was $420 and I had the choice between this color and other colors, this would not be my first choice. However, I like it better than I thought I would because it is quite shiny. There's some really nice sparkles in here. This pen is much different than other pens I have, which I also like because I have a tendency to buy blue pens and I need to branch out some. So a nice warm orange pen. And this purple is quite blue, so it's almost like blue and orange. It does give me Halloween vibes though. I do like it. This is my 650. It is wider. This pen I think looks more elegant than the 600, but it's definitely wider. Feels about the same. Maybe this is a slightly lighter pen, but I'll open it and it does have the gold flex Magna Carta nib in it with the ebonite feed. And it is a cartridge fill pen. So I'll be able to compare the 600 and the 650, which I definitely wanted to do. And this was a great price. I mean, really, honestly, it was a great price for a new Mag 600. That is the first order that I received. I will mention real quick that I believe I was supposed to get a 10 milliliter sample of Tono and Limbs ink. Pretty sure that was the ink that was on special that day. That was not in my package. It is not anywhere to be seen. So it looks like they have forgotten that. I'm not too worried about that. I could email them and let them know, but they shipped it Friday. I'm sure they were slammed. There was a pen missing. Okay, but I did not get that. So just full transparency, that was missing from my order. This is the second order that I made over Fountain Pen Day, for Fountain Pen Day. It is from Endless Pens. I have not ordered from them before. I know you do have to be careful when you order from them because they do offer a lot of pre-order items that may take a while to ship, but I made sure that both of the things that I ordered were in stock. So I ordered it Fountain Pen Day and I got it a week later on Friday. They did have a warning on their site saying that shipping times may be delayed due to the sale. So, all right, so get this out of here. There was a free sticker, random sticker for Fountain Pen Day. So this is the free sticker that I got. It's kind of funny. And there are 2 pens in here. So take those out. I'm assuming this is the less impressive of the 2 pens. Okay. This is the LAMY ABC pen. It's got a beginner nib on it. I just wanted to try it. I just wanted to see what a beginner fountain pen was like. I kind of like it. I think it's kind of neat. And so it comes in this box. It comes with a cartridge. Comes with a way to put your name here. These stickers are to put your name on, which I'll not be doing, but there's clear ones too. Okay, cute. And then this explains what the idea behind the LAMY ABC writing system for children. It's chunky grip. I guess it takes a Z28 converter. That's good to know. I might have one of those. Promotes natural grip and yeah. So this pen retails for $13 and it was 15% off, I think. Yeah, it was 15% off, and then there was an additional coupon code that worked, so it was $8.84. So I think it's just kind of, it's almost like a baseball bat, right? It's comfortable though. Does it post? No. I would be afraid of a kid losing a cap on a pen that didn't post. But this is kind of rubberized, and the nib, this is the A nib. I don't think you can get this anywhere else, but maybe I'm wrong, other than on this pen. This is like pretty solid, nice little pen. It's not the most elegant looking thing in the world, and there is no clip on it if you're interested in that kind of thing. But it feels like, you know, if you dropped it, it wouldn't suffer at all. So that's interesting. Let's see what that's all about. If I just wanted to try that A nib, $8 for the nib itself is worth it, not even counting the pen. So that is the LAMY beginner pen. I like it, especially for the price. And then the other pen that I got, so this is the last pen now. Well, it's the last anything. So I got a Benu. You might have seen that on my wish list, that I had a Benu on there. And I've been watching the secondhand market for these for a while, and there's been a few that have popped up. Like the Earl Grey one I like, and I liked the Lily of the Incas that just came out recently. But there's a lot that I don't as much. And when I was looking at different places over Fountain Pen Day, and I was looking at the Benus, this colorway just kind of grabbed me, and I don't know, I couldn't let it out of my brain. So this is what I ended up with. So it comes in a pillow packaging and a converter. Documentation, so that's going to tell you which one I picked. Edelweiss. And here is the warranty information. And some little, I like that it's smaller. Sometimes boxes get to be a little bit bulky. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, I really like this a lot. They are not lying when they say Benus are like disco balls, though. This thing is shiny. But I like just the hint of green in here that kind of pulls down in that in the dark. It's supposed to be mixed up. It's back heavy, but the grip is comfortable. This is smooth. Comes with a converter, that's always nice. A converter that fits, which is even better. I'm looking at you, Narwhal. So yeah, this is the other pen that I purchased. I do like it. I like the colorway. I really wanted a talisman. The talisman line in particular interested me because Benu takes pieces of the item that the pen is named after and then incorporates it into the resin of the pen. And there's something about that which just sort of appeals to my latent, like, witchy sensibilities. I just think that's really pretty. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's not too bright. I don't feel too ostentatious with it. I like it a lot. Anyway, price-wise, this pen retails for $162, and it was eligible for the coupon code that reduced it by $32.40. So this was $129.60. I got it in a broad, it's a broad nib, and that is, it's just a Schmidt nib. That covers all of my Fountain Pen Day purchases. So I'm going to clear away this packaging and then we'll just do some initial writing with this stuff just to see how it looks. Let's take a look at some of this stuff. I'm not going to do an in-depth review of every item, but I do want to just open it up, put some ink in stuff, and then write with it. And I'm going to start out by trying out this ink muddler from Dominant Industry. Little tiny guy, very small, so we'll see how that goes. I just got some ink bottle stamps and a heart because I wanted to test using them. I like doing something like this, but I thought the idea of doing the wash in a little bottle stamp would be cute. So I ordered some bottle stamps just to try out. As you can see, it's a test page. It's something I already cut out of. Here's the heart stamp. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's too dark for what I'm trying to do though, but I think this one will work. That one's not bad either, but I think this one is probably good. Anyway, so I'm going to try writing the name of the ink, the brand of the ink and the name of the ink, and then do like a little spot here with this side to see how that works. Since this is just a test anyway, and these are all three my incredibly old bottle of Diamine Red Dragon. So let's see what happens with this thing. The point is very fine, so I'm imagining that I am not going to be incredibly thrilled with writing with it, in addition to the fact that it is microscopically small, especially considering the fact that I am not, I mean, my hands are not tiny. This is a half sheet paper, so I'm not starting with small hands here. But anyway, let's see what this does. Okay, so not super comfortable to write with because it's very tiny. Also not resting on my hand. It's quite fine. It doesn't look like laying the point down really affects the line width at all. So it does, however, write like this part is smooth. It isn't like really catching at all on the paper, which is nice. Not super mega thrilled with this, but yeah, it writes okay. I mean, the writing, if you like fine points, it does hold a decent amount of ink and it does write quite fine. This point is so fine though, I will break it. I know me. Glass pens clean up very quickly, which is one of the things that's nice about using them to swatch ink, but yeah, not super comfortable to write with. All right, let's try the other end. So I think on this side, I'm gonna dip it into the ink. I'm just gonna dip this end into the ink and smush it around. And then I think on this one, I'll do a drop like I traditionally do and see how that goes. This kind of has a divot on the inside that holds some ink. I don't mind that. It's quite solid, but this ink is fairly saturated. It's pretty easy to go in and get more. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind it being short for that either. I don't know. I guess it's nice to have if I ever. This is me trying to justify the fact that I bought the smallest glass pen. Let's try the way I normally do it with a drop of ink here and then smushing it around with this. I don't mind that for swatching. I still think I like my plastic spoon a little bit better. Let me try I've got my Troublemaker Abalone right here. Let me try swatching that because there's a lot more. I know that one is not super saturated and be better able to see what's going on. Let me really clean this off before I dip it in the bottle. I'm gonna do a dip and a smush. I like glass and plastic for swatching ink because I like being able to see exactly where the ink is going, especially when I'm working in like kind of a constrained area like that. So let me try the drop method over on the other side. A little bit less, a little mini drop. More like that. Okay, and then let's see what this does. Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's fine. I don't like it any better than my spoon though. I guess one nice thing about this method here is that you only have one thing to clean up, which is always good. Less to clean is good. Okay, well, that is the ink muddler from Dominant Industry. I am not regretting, maybe I kind of regret getting this just because of the size. It's very, very small. And it does say the size on there. The website does not hide the size, so I could have paid closer attention to that for sure too. I have spent the last 20 minutes or so cleaning all these pens for their initial inking, meaning running a little bit of soap water through them in case there's any oil in the feed or on the nib. Interestingly enough, the cheapest pen, this LAMY ABC pen, was the only one that appears to have had ink on it, indicating that the nib was tested in the factory, which is typical with a LAMY pen, nothing surprising there, but it's just kind of funny that the $9 pen is the one that assumingly went through the most quality control in the factory. So anyway, it's Sunday, I have my candle, have my coffee. I just want to do a initial writing with the 4 pens that I got for Fountain Pen Day without going into a big review, just real quick first impressions. So I'll start with the LAMY ABC pen. Real quick, this glove. Okay, I know it's silly, but I am extraordinarily bad at remembering to put down a paper to rest my hands on in the hand oil situation. And I found that if I just throw one of these gloves on before I start writing, then I never have to forget. It doesn't bother me to wear. It's not hot, it's not tight. So if you see that in my videos, that's what that is. It's just a little drawing glove. So sorry if that bothers you, but hand oils, etc. All right, so the LAMY ABC pen. Okay, so this seems a little dry. There are some parts where the ink is not flowing very well. The reverse writing is fine. This up here was okay. The nib is not scratchy at all, it's smooth. This reminds me of about maybe a medium width for this. It is not as stiff. I kind of assumed that this nib would be very stiff. I was just imagining with like younger writers what they would tend to do if they would tend to write more light or press hard. I'm imagining it is got some dryness issues like that. So I guess I could take a look at that later. Could be that I filled it not the best. I'll have to write with it a little bit longer to see. Just push some ink up, so. It seems better. Could have just been a fill issue. As far as the pen being comfortable, it's still got the triangle, well, a semi-triangle grip. It's got sort of 2 indentations here, and then it's rounded on the back. That, for my hand, is probably a little bit small, just because, but this is not aggravating here at all. And the rubberized grip on here makes it feel solid to hold. and the wood is smooth. So it's, you know, for an $8 pen, I think it's pretty decent. I'll have to see how the dryness issue works. And again, not a big, huge, long review, but it's a snap cap, rubberized converter. And if you want to see it by a Safari, just as a comparison size, here is the Safari. So it's just a slight bit shorter, and it is not postable. So that's the LAMY ABC pen. Then the next pen that I will just do an initial writing for is this Narwhal Horizon. It has a broad nib, broad narwhal nib. All of these pens I am trying out without making any alterations. They all have Waterman's Serenity Blue in them. They were all cleaned with a little bit of soap and water and then flushed out. They were all not altered. The nibs were not changed. I mentioned I might want to change the nib on this or the Benu, but none of the nibs have been changed. This is just factory, whatever. And this pen is a piston filler. The piston was nice when I filled it. One thing I did notice that's different from some of the other piston fillers that I have had is that when you extend the piston all the way down, you do not see it in this ink window. It stops right about here, which is not really anything important one way or another, except it's just interesting because some of the ones that I've had that have the ink window, you will see the piston come down. It doesn't come down that far, but it does feel smooth. The piston feels solid. It doesn't feel like the Narwhal original that I'm having the piston issues with. It feels much more solid than that. The pen is kind of heavy, so I would not post it even though you can. This is getting to be a little bit much for long periods of writing. And the grip section feels like a good size and is smooth. Okay, so let's try this one out. So this is clearly got more ink flow than the ABC nib. Even when I had pushed some ink through, this is much wetter. Like this is still not dry up here. The reverse writing is worse. I would say the nib is less flexible than the ABC pen. It is very stiff. There is no give whatsoever. And this way is smooth. This way feels a little scratchy. It feels like it's digging into the paper. Width-wise, it doesn't feel much wider than this up here, honestly. It looks about the same. So as far as a broad goes, I wouldn't, maybe this is more like a broad without doing like very close measurements, which I'm not going to do right now. It would be hard for me to say. So I kind of was thinking that I would change the nib on this pen anyway when I bought it. So I'm not too worried about how the nib is performing, but this kind of scratchiness going that way is something that if I were going to keep this nib, I would want to try to get rid of because it's digging into the paper a little bit. As far as comfortable pen to hold, I like this pen. I like the way it rests here. I like how it's balanced. This grip feels good. I could maybe use a little bit bigger grip, but it feels comfortable. So yes, on the pen, the nib was not really consideration in the first place. I like that it's a little wetter. It might even be a little too wet, but this was the beginning writing, so In any case, that is the Narwhal, quite a few turns. The Narwhal Horizon. I'm going to give you just a really brief size comparison. Twisby Eco is a little bit shorter. And without getting weights going, this is very much heavier than that. That's quite a heavy pen. I would say that that's getting into, if you like heavier pens, this is a good choice category. It's heavier than the Benu for sure. It's a solid heavy pen. So, Narwhal Horizon. Next, we will do the Benu Talisman in Edelweiss. This is a cartridge converter. It has a broad nib on it. This is a Schmidt nib, so this is not a Benu, branded nib. Also, Waterman Serenity Blue. I feel like I'm not going to post this. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So this is not as wet as this. The reverse writing is terrible. It digs in the paper. So that's like here, it's like catching. It feels smoother than the Narwhal overall. It is good this way, but it also feels good this way. It's not catching on the paper like these were here. The flow seems to be slightly drier, but I think this is more like a normal flow and this is more like a wet flow. It is a Schmidt nib though, so I'm not married to this nib. It's a broad nib and I may keep it, but I do have 2 nibs over sitting that I want to put in pens, so they may go in this or they may go in something else. Because this is my more favorite of these 2 nibs. Because it's smoother, I may keep the broad in this pen for a while just to see how I feel about it long term. The pen itself is comfortable. It's much lighter than the Narwhal. It does feel, I don't want to say less sturdy, but kind of than the Narwhal. It feels not bad, not low quality, just not as, it's lighter, so that's probably what's doing it. I do really like, I just noticed earlier with posting it, I like how when the pen is posted, it covers up a lot of this light and the light is just up there and it makes a kind of a black pen with the light top. It's neat. That's my weird observation. It's comfortable though. It doesn't feel off balance. This section is comfortable. It feels a little bit smaller than the Narwhal too. A little bit more of a pinch. So that might be something I notice over longer writing periods. And then size comparison, we'll do the Twisby Eco again. So there's the Benu, here's the Twisby. So it is almost exactly the same length as a Twisby. So shorter than the Narwhal. All right, so that's the Benu Talisman in Edelweiss. Going back to this ABC pen, just a little bit of give that nib has is pleasant, more pleasant than these 2, honestly. Now, the Mag 600, the one I'm most scared about because of the experience I had initially with the 650. The Mag 600, this is a converter filled pen with a flex. 14 karat nib. It is not postable. It is solid. It's fairly heavy. And we're going to put it by, see, I'm stalling when writing with this pen. All right, put it by the TWSBI. TWSBI's a little bit shorter. The Mag 600 is slightly longer. All right, let's give it a shot. Ooh, that is some ink. Okay. Got some ink globbing issues. Maybe this one will have the opposite issue that my 650 had, and it'll write too wet for a while. All right. Yeah, so this right here, not great, but sometimes after it's sitting for a bit, if you've used flex pens before, you know, you can kind of see when ink globs are about to happen, because when you press to flex, there'll be a ball of ink between the nib and the feed. And that is when you know you need to wipe the nib off a little bit, because you're going to get problems. I am not going to make a ton of comparisons between this Meg 600 and the 650 I have, because I'm going to push that into a separate video. But I feel like this nib might be more flexible. It feels softer even than the other one, which says something. It's the same very flexible, very brush-like flex that the 650 has. So taking it on its own accord, on its own merits, not talking about the 650 at all, this is a extremely brush-like flex pen that gets as close, you know, as a modern pen can to that vintage wet noodle gold flex. You can just write lightly with it and not flex it, and it'll be a fine point. And you can also print with it. Well, you get the idea. Quite wide. It does not appear to be having the personality issues that my 650 had at first, which is interesting. I have to let me just see this for a second. It just feels like it's flexing more. Now, this has a very dry ink in it right now because I was trying something, but it might just be the ink. Maybe it's very close. I don't know. There's something about the 600 that feels more floppy even. Realistically, though, you could buy 3 of the same pen with the same nib and have different writing experiences with all 3. Even if they're coming from the same company, same store, same nibs, same size, everything. One nib could be great, and one might be scratchy, and one might not even write at all. So a difference between the nibs on the Mag 650 and the 600 probably wouldn't be based on the model of the pen, and more likely just be a difference based on the 2 nibs and feeds. You know, and this is normal in general. Not every nib on a specific pen is going to write the same way. They are the same size nib and feed, but they're not going to write exactly the same. And I guess pairing these two could indicate something about consistency in the brand, but with the sample size of 2, I can't really make any real conclusions about that just from these 2 pens. It's a pretty heavy pen. And the styling is definitely different than the 650. This looks a little bit more elegant because it tapers, but maybe this looks a little more classic. I don't know. Stop comparing. It's hard not to, though. Yeah, I like it. I wasn't expecting to get another Magna Carta this fast, but because of the price, I really felt like I needed to jump on it. I'm glad that I did. So, in any case, that is a brief review of these 4 pens that I got for Fountain Pen Day. Stop spinning. 2024. Let me pick everything up, and I'm gonna just do like a little post-mortem of how I did on Fountain Pen Day, how I feel about the money I spent, the things that I bought, the entire experience. So be back in a second. Fountain Pen Day 2024, here is my recap. I went into Fountain Pen Day with a budget of $500. That budget was intended to cover basically my Christmas present to myself. So I ended up spending $530.98. So I went over my budget by $30.98, which I then took out of my normal monthly hobby budget. Going forward, like into next year, I think that I would want to reserve some of that for other holiday shopping, or maybe things that I want to get myself that aren't fountain pens. Crazy, I know, to spend money on anything that isn't a fountain pen. I also didn't get any ink, and I did not buy the advent calendar. So if I would have wanted to do that, that would have had to come out of that money too. So those things are off the table. Well, I mean, ink is, there's still the normal hobby budget. I'm talking about big ink purchase. So how do I feel about it? I do regret getting this. It was $12. So this is a reminder to myself next year, even on smaller purchases, because they do add up, to really check dimensions or other reviews of stuff before I just jump in and buy something. I don't regret this though, because it was less than $9, and I like having options to tell people for beginner pens. I think this is a great pen for especially a younger kid, or even an adult, especially if your hands are a little smaller, or if you like this aesthetic. If the wood and plastic, this kind of aesthetic, speaks to you, then there is nothing wrong with this pen. It was a little dry when I was writing with it, but that's easily adjustable. The price on this was excellent, and I really did want to try a 600. So I'm very happy I bought this, even though the colorway is not my first choice. I'm very happy with this. This I've wanted for a while, and it is less than I would pay for it used. And I've also really wanted a Benu for a while. So these 3 pens I'm happy with. I'm happy that I bought them. I'm glad to have them. These 2, or at least 1, will probably get different nibs though. I have a double broad architect nib that I got that I want to try, or I have a zoom nib that's going to go in one of these. So I feel like I kept it pretty well under control for Fountain Pen Day. I think I did well with keeping on my wish list, because I did see some pretty decent deals on pens that I thought looked interesting, but that were not on my wish list. I think there was a Diplomat. The Diplomat, I'll put a picture of it, the striped Diplomat. That was nowhere on my wish list, but I kept going back to that and thinking about it, but I didn't purchase it. All of these pens stayed in the cart for a little while. I checked other sites to make sure that the pricing I was getting was, if not the best, at least close to the best. And I made sure that the pens that I ordered from Endless Pens were in stock and not pre-orders. That was good too. The negatives are checking the dimensions. That was a little bit impulsy because it was less expensive. And even though I stayed close to my budget, I did go over. So I prefer not to do that. That covers Fountain Pen Day 2024 for me. I feel like I'm in a good spot right now. I don't feel like I am dying or desperate for any other pens right now. And in fact, I feel the need to pull all of my pens out into one spot and go through and possibly for my next Currently Ink take some of the duplicates that I have every month out. I am pretty comfortable with the number of pens I ink every month. There's something about having that many pens that I like. I like that variety of color, but I don't necessarily like having multiples of the same type of pen. So I'm going to be weeding some of those out as I just added these new pens to my collection. So I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out to the end, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye. I did, spoiler, go